So I wanted to come on here and share some weekend fat loss strategies. I am 3 weeks officially done in the books with my summer prep, and my goal for this summer prep is to lose 5% body fat in 12 weeks. After 3 weeks, I'm down 6.4 pounds. Things are definitely moving in the right direction. I'm feeling really good right now. But historically, if you've ever struggled with weight loss, if you have had a difficult time losing body fat, or maybe you get to a certain point and then you get stuck and you just can't seem to break past it, like that's where I have been. And the problem for me really always came down to the weekends. It was not allowing the weekends to become my undoing. And that's what would happen every time. So I am somebody that could do very good during the week, because during the week, my days are very structured. I've got work, I've got, family thing. It's like the same thing every day during the week. It's very regimented. But when weekends come around, that was the time where family dinner's out, date days with Cheryl and I, doing things with the kids. There's a lack of structure in place. It's not like during the week. And, I could completely, and I've done this where I have destroyed all the progress that I worked the entire previous week on. And I did that within just a weekend. So the difference between then and now is being able to basically control my weekends. And so some fat loss tips are what I wanted to share, just in case if you're dealing with any of that, then this is what's been helping me, and maybe this can help you as well. So number one thing has been planning my meals ahead. So during the week, it's like, I know what I'm having for dinner. I know what I'm having for lunch. Like, I have everything planned out during the week, but I wouldn't do the same thing on the weekends because that was my cheat day or, my reward. And so not having things planned out, that always led to a case where I would just start eating things and I would log my foods. So I'd use, a tracker and track my foods and everything, but I wouldn't pay a lot of attention to it, because in my mind, I was allowing myself to have a reward, which meant that I can have, more food. But I would always get into the situation where by dinner time, when that came around, if I look back through my day at how many calories I consumed and where I was at, I'd be at a point where I was already well over my daily calories that I should be having. And then I want to go out and have like dinner with Cheryl and the kids. So that could easily add another 2,000 to 3,000 extra calories. And yes, 1,000. That's no joke. So by the end of the day, I could easily have tripled my normal calories, like easily have done that. And I've done that. So now what I'm doing is I'm planning my weekends out ahead. So like for today, this is Saturday. Yesterday, when I had some time at night, I take a few minutes and I just look at my Saturday and I kind of plan out, how many calories am I allowing myself? So I on the weekend, I bump my calories up a little bit. And so I allow like a little bit of a refeed. And then I just kind of plan things out. What am I going to fit into my daily calories here? So I kind of plan those things out. I might have a little bit of room where I might have maybe 400 or 500 calories that are not accounted for in my plan. And that just comes down to a preference. So it might be, maybe I want to have some ice cream for dessert. Maybe I want to have like a little extra something for dinner, or some kind of other snack somewhere. So there's a little flexibility in there, but I know the amount that I need. And so having that plan in place where I plan my weekends out ahead, then what that does is that eliminates the need for me to have to try to figure things out on the fly as I go. It eliminates trying to make a decision toward the end of the day and going into the evening when I am dealing with a lot of decision fatigue. I make a lot of decisions all day when I'm at home or when I'm at work. There's decisions constantly, and that uses brain fuel. And so by the end of the day, it's very easy for me to feel just mentally fatigued, to where, number one, I don't want to have to make any more decisions. And number two, if I try to make decisions, I don't make the best ones because my brain fuel literally is very low. The brain consumes so much fuel when we're making decisions. And so it easily, for me, gets depleted by the end of the day. So it eliminates that decision fatigue, and it allows me to make the best decision possible, to where I'm not blowing my nutrition plan, in one day or one evening. So planning meals ahead. Second thing is allowing myself to have a bump up in my calories on weekends. So, this is where, for me, this is what works for me, and everybody's different. But weekends are the time where, like I said, I enjoy times where I go out to dinners with my family, my wife and kids. We enjoy, we go out for a pizza or maybe some burgers in a nice restaurant or whatever we're doing. And I like having that time with them. I don't want to have to sacrifice my family time because I'm on a fitness plan. I don't want to have to give up eating foods that I love or eating things with them that they're eating and not being able to enjoy that because I'm on a diet, right? I like to be able to just incorporate my fitness plan in a way that it fits my life. And so what I do is on the weekends, I allow a little bit of bump in calories. So I go up about 400 to 500 calories per day. And this works into my plan. So what I'm doing is I'm staying at a maintenance level, meaning that even though I'm bumping my calories up, number one, the goal is that I do not want to gain weight over the weekend. I know I'm not going to lose any, so I'm just looking to maintain where I'm at. So when I come into Monday, whereas before when I used to do this, I would overshoot my calories so much, I would come into Mondays and I'd be anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds heavier. So I'd already be starting the week behind to where I'd have to go, midway, maybe by Wednesday or Thursday into the week just to lose the weekend weight that I gained and then try to make some progress, some additional weight loss by the weekend. So it was just a losing battle. So now the difference is that I'm looking just to maintain where I'm at. So I come into Monday, I'm ready to go. I didn't lose weight, but I didn't gain any. So I have the whole week now where I can make some progress. So I allow a little bit of a refeed and keep myself at my maintenance calories for the weekend. Third thing has been portion control. And basically what that means is I don't think about I can only eat this much or that much. Again, I try to eliminate as much thinking as possible. So I know where I tend to fall off track, and that could be with a dinner or that could particularly be with desserts. So what I will do is I will pre-portion things ahead of time. I know how many calories I get with a dessert or with a meal. And in order to hit those calories, I have to have things portioned out. The last thing that I want to do is sit with a whole entire pizza in front of me and then just be eating it, because I know if it's in front of me, I'm a lot less likely to stick with my plan and I'll overshoot my calories. So I kind of have things portioned out ahead of time as much as possible. If it's dinner out or whatever, then I just put whatever I am allowed on my plate, and try my best to not, have things sitting right in front of me or where I can easily just keep dishing more things out. I allow myself my plate. I know what I need on my plate and what it looks like and how much it's supposed to be, and boom, that's that. And that's all I allow myself. Fourth thing is dealing with hunger. So part of being in a calorie deficit when you're trying to lose fat, there's this constant low level hunger. Now it's not the same as feeling like you're starving or depriving yourself. You shouldn't be feeling like that, where you are just absolutely starving and fiending for food and that's all you can think about. But it's kind of like this low level hunger, right? And that's just kind of there. It goes with the territory. It's normal. It just means that my body's doing what it's supposed to do. I'm getting leaner, I'm losing fat, and so it's just kind of constantly there. But what I do to help kind of curb that as much as possible is I will use some caffeine during the day. And especially for me, it's more in the mid-afternoon times, where that's when a lot of times if hunger kind of picks up for me or my appetite comes up or I'm dealing with cravings, a lot of times it's coming around that time. So what I will do is I'll have a diet soda or a sugar-free soda at that point, something that has a little bit of caffeine in it. And I'll just pour that in a cup and then I'll sip on that for a while. And that little bit of caffeine in it, I find that it just helps kind of keeps me even keel, and it just kind of suppresses that appetite a little bit more. Or it just makes the hunger a little bit more easier to deal with. So I'm less likely to give in to a craving, and more likely to be able to stick with my plan. And then finally, The last strategy, and this is more if and when I need it, and I think this becomes more important early on. So if you are new to trying to lose weight, if it's been a while since you've been in a calorie deficit and you're used to eating more food, or you're used to eating at particular times, when you get on a fat loss plan, you're changing things around. And a lot of times that means it's less food, or you might have to change eating times around a bit. And what happens is our brain gets conditioned to how much food that we're used to eating and what times we're used to eating. And so we can get hunger signals and these things that happen, not because we physiologically need food, but because the brain is conditioned for it and will send those signals. It's kind of like we train our brain. So one of the things is, particularly around meal times, has been drinking 2 cups of water. So it's like literally taking 2 cups and not sipping it slow, like really pounding it down and drinking it quickly. So within a couple of minutes. And a lot of times what happens is that this really is a great strategy to let you know if your hunger signals are generated from an actual physiological need for food. Because if it is, you'll tend to still be hungry. But a lot of times what happens, and this is what I found, the majority of times I found this to be true with myself and with clients that I've worked with over the last 25 years, is that the appetite tends to go away. Because a lot of times what it is it's more of a need for water. There's more of the signals that we get to eat oftentimes are not because we're hungry. It's more because we're dehydrated. And the signal is the same when we need water or when we need food. The brain can't tell the difference. We just kind of mistake the signal and interpret it as a need to eat. And we go for food when a lot of times we really just need some water. So 2 cups of water about 10-15 minutes before a meal can do wonders, because it helps to regulate appetite, and it makes it less likely for you to overeat when you do have a meal. So it's a lot easier to stick with calories. So those are some weekend fat loss strategies that I find are really, really useful. And these have been the things that have really helped me out in controlling my weekends. Like I said, that has been the big thing. You don't want to do all this work all week and then the weekend comes around and it all falls apart, because it really can undo an entire week's worth of progress. And that can happen within just 1 to 2 days. So I hope that these weekend fat loss strategies are something that can help. If you are struggling with your losing weight or getting your body fat down, or you're just stuck and can't seem to make any progress, it's not always just as simple as eat less and move more. Yeah, calorie deficit's important and it's needed, but then we also need to understand how to navigate the terrain. How do we navigate our path as we go when challenges come up? If you just think, I just need to eat less and move more, that doesn't help navigate the times where things get in the way, when your schedule's thrown off, or when you're dealing with a craving, when you don't have your typical structure in place. How do you deal with these things? So it's important to have more tools in your toolbox, because I find that the more tools that I have, the more skills that I develop. And that's a lot of times what fat loss comes down to. It's one thing to know what you need to do, but it's another thing when you're developing the skill set to be able to do those things. Knowing what to do is one thing, having the skills in place is another. So I'm hoping that these kind of weekend fat loss tips help you out if you're struggling. And in the meantime, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know which of these have you tried. I'm curious which ones have worked well for you. And if there's any other strategies that you find that work well, feel free to share them. All right, that's all I've got for now. Hope that this helps. Take care, and we'll see you next time.